Hello everyone and welcome back to our favourite time of the year here at Double Sleeved, where we go through the deck ideas for all the new leaders coming out in the upcoming Dragon Ball set, Power Absorbed, and we've got a fan favourite character this time round. It is none other than Cumber himself, a character that a lot of people have been asking for quite a while, but he's happily been introduced into the card game and got a pretty unique deck alongside it. So let's jump into it. Starting off, we've got the leader, Evil Saiyan. Standard 10,000, auto when this card is placed in your leader area, activate up to one prison planet from your deck. So we're starting with the field immediately out. When this card attacks, draw one, and then awaken when your life is at 4 or less, or you have 2 or more energy while you have a Fu Z battle card in play. Draw one, untap one, add cards from your life until you have 6, and flip this card over. On our Awakened side, Cumber Maddening Force. We've got 15k, auto once per turn. When this card attacks, draw one, and an activate main once per turn. So we choose up to one card you own in your opponent's battle area, and it gains Servant until the end of your opponent's next turn. For those that don't know what the Servant skill is, it gives you plus 10,000 power, but that card doesn't untap at the start of the turn if it's in rest mode, and it can be placed at the bottom of the deck by the keyword skill Overlord, which allows you to draw a card if you place a card with Servant at the bottom of the deck. Moving into the field card, we've got the Prison Planet that starts out, 7 energy, but obviously we're playing it for free. It's got Barrier, it's a field card with 2 permanents, Mono Black Saiyan cards with a combo cost of 1 and 5,000 combo power in your hand and battle area have their combo cost reduced by 1, which is great because we're going to be playing a lot of these cards on our opponent's field, so it's annoying for them to get rid of these cards. And permanent, when using your Fu's Overlord to choose a Servant card, you can also choose cards in your opponent's battle area. So really good, works well with the leader. We can give our cards on our opponent's field Servant, and then use Fu to bottom deck them and draw a card. We've got our 1-drop Searcher, standard 5k. If your leader is an Evil Saiyan or Cumber card, both black, when it's played, look at the top 5 cards of your deck, add up to 1 Fu or Saiyan card, both black, energy cost of 6 or less, or 1 Fu, all according to plan among them to your hand, and shuffle your deck. So it searches out a lot of the cards in this deck, since we do have a lot of Fu and Saiyan cards with a specified cost of 6 or less, or we just grab the Unison if we need it as well. So a really great searcher for the deck. And then we have My Ace in the Hole, another 1-drop. This one's a 4k, but still that 0-5k combo. When it's played, add up to 1 Super Saiyan Blue Vegito Supreme Gleaming from your deck to your hand. We're not running this Super Saiyan Blue Vegito. It's a bit of an awkward card, preventing your opponent from being able to counter depending on the life that they have, but giving them a barrier blocker. It is a little bit awkward, but it does have a great activate main. If your leader is an Evil Saiyan or Cumber card, both black, draw one, and then place this card from your hand in your opponent's battle area. So we can draw a card, put it in our opponent's battle area, give this card Servant, and then bottom deck it to draw another card. And we do have a lot of cards within our deck as well that do require some battle cards in our opponent's side. So it's great just to be able to do this for free, to do it from our hand, draw a card, and then get that card straight out onto their field. And it is only a 4k, so it's not like our opponent's going to be able to really put a lot of pressure on to us with a 14k, even with the Servant. Next we have the Unison Fu, all according to the plan. It's a 15k specified cost of 2 black, but we have a permanent. While your leader is an Evil Saiyan or Cumber card, both black, and you have a Fu Z battle card in play, reduce the specified cost of this card in your hand by 1 black. Interesting that it says while your leader is an Evil Saiyan or Cumber card. It kind of implies that, perhaps there's a potential to change that. Maybe it's just the new wording for this set, but a 15k Unison for 1 black energy is really good, especially when you have a +2 activate main. Limit 1, choose up to one of your Evil Saiyan or Cumber cards, both black, energy cost of 6 or less, and it gains Servant until the end of your opponent's next turn. So being able to do that +2 and give one of those cards the extra 10k that we can overlord away if we need. And then a -7 activate main for 1 black energy as well. Choose up to one of your opponent's battle cards with Servant, switch it to active mode, and gain control of it. Incredibly good effect if we're able to give Servant so freely with our leader and things like that. Just being able to steal one of our opponent's boss monsters and swing with it with an extra 10k as well, as long as it doesn't have barrier. Vegeta against all odds, a 3-drop 10k blocker. It's counter attack limit 1, negate the attack and play this card in your opponent's battle area. And we've got a permanent. If your leader is a black Cumber card, you can activate this card's counter skill from your hand without paying its energy cost. So, and great way to negate. We do give our opponent the battle card that is a blocker, but we have so many ways to remove this card that we don't mind it necessarily too much. Then we've got Trunks, Prisoner from the Future, another 3-drop 10k. When this card is played, draw 1 and discard 1 card from your hand. And we've got to activate main limit 1. If your leader is an Evil Saiyan or Cumber card, both black, play this card from your hand in your opponent's battle area. Look at up to 5 cards from the top of your deck, add up to 1 My, Future card, or a Saiyan card, both black, not a copy of this card, energy cost of 6 or less, among them to your hand. So we do get that effect, we do get the search top 5, but this card will get played in our opponent's battle area, and they'll get the auto of drawing a card and discarding 1, which can be a little bit annoying. We are allowing them to cycle cards and get cards into the drop area, but if it's early on in the game, we can kind of mess around with the cards that they have access to. Next, we've got the 6-drop 19k dual attacker Cumber Furious Frenzy. One of the cards that was a promo, I believe, that was given out throughout our nationals. So a lot of people were excited to get this card. We've got activate main limit 1 for 1 black energy. If your leader is black, your opponent has 2 or more energy and a battle card in play. Play this card from your hand. And then we've got the auto. When this card is played, choose up to one of your opponent's battle cards and it gains Servant until the end of your opponent's next turn. So we see some of the use of playing these cards in our opponent's battle area. We can pay the 1 energy, play this card, and then use the Overlord to bottom deck that card before they're able to combo it away. We get to draw a card, and they still have to deal with a 19k dual attacker. Next, we've got the 3-drop 10k Super Saiyan Son Goku Berserk Instincts. This is one of the SRs coming out in the new set. We've got the activate main limit 1, 1 black energy. If you have 3 or more energy, play this card from your hand. It's a inherent double strike with permanent. While your leader is black, this card gets plus 5,000 power and Servant. So it makes it a 25k double striker for 1 energy. And auto limit 1, if a player's leader is black, when this card is used in a combo, choose up to one of your cards, it gets plus 10,000 power for the battle, and then play this card from your combo area in your opponent's battle area. So we can combo with this card for a 15k combo, and then it does get played in our opponent's field. Again, if we're utilizing the Servant and the Overlord effect, we can draw another card as well on our turn, but just having access to a 1 energy 25k double striker is incredibly good. Next, we have Fu Scheming Overlord, one of the Fu cards that we do have Overlord on, and it's a 20k critical as well. So we've got activate main for 2 black energy. If your leader is a black Cumber card and your opponent has 2 or more energy and a battle card in play, play this card from your hand. When it gets played, we get to choose one of our opponent's non-black battle cards with an energy cost of 3 or less and gain control of it. So we're not going to be gaining control of the card that we put in our opponent's field, but we can take something else, use the Overlord, again, bottom deck our card, draw 1, and then swing 20k crit. And we can even combo with the card that we stole as well if we don't really think that it's going to be that useful. Be mindful of charging cards that you gain control of as well. An interesting ruling, if you do Z-charge a card that you've gained control of, it will go to your opponent's Z energy since it is still their card. And with the rulings of, you know, changing areas and Z energy and things like that, it's just something to be mindful of. Especially if your opponent is gaining control of your cards and then Z-charging them. Another SR for the set, we've got Super Saiyan Cumber Berserker Barrage. This is the 8-drop 30k. We play it with the activate main limit 1 for 2 black energy. If you have 4 or more energy and your opponent has 2 or more battle cards in play, play this card from your hand. If your leader is a Black Saiyan card, when this card is played, draw 1, choose any number of your opponent's battle cards. Those cards gain Servant until the end of your opponent's next turn, and then we choose 1. This card either gains Double Strike and Dual Attack for the turn, or this card gains Triple Strike for the turn, depending on which one we need, if we need multiple swings or one big swing. But if our opponent has multiple cards in rest mode as well, we can give all of them Servant so they don't untap the following turn, and it's just a really great kind of combination of an aggressive powerhouse, but with some kind of aspects of control. I really do like that they've made a lot of these SRs 0 cost 5k combos as well, so they're not dead in hand and you're not stuck with all these 1 cost 10k combos, but a really great card. Next, we've got the SER from Fighter's Ambition, and a card that a lot of people are now catching on to its kind of usefulness within this deck and black in general. But it's a standard 40k ultimate. We've got to activate main for 2 black energy. If your opponent has 3 or more energy, play this card from your hand or warp and choose up to one of your opponent's battle cards, ignoring barrier, and send it to the owner's warp. Pretty good effect. Just having barrier removal is always good. But then we've got an auto. If your opponent's life is at 2 or more, when this card is played, look through your opponent's life, send up to 1 card with an energy cost of 7 or less from it to your opponent's warp. Your opponent shuffles their life, and then play up to 1 battle card with an energy cost of 7 or less from your opponent's warp in your battle area with its skills negated for the game. An incredible effect. You get to look at your opponent's life, choose a card. It doesn't necessarily have to be a battle card that we're removing from their life, but we then get to play a battle card from their warp as well. So if they've utilized Overwhelm and things like that, we can play one of those cards and just warp a negate that we don't want our opponent to draw. But we have access to their life. We know what's in there. We know what they can draw when they start taking their life as well, which is really useful. And an auto once per turn. When your opponent plays a battle card with an energy cost of 7 or less, you may send one of your battle cards to the owner's warp. If you do, gain control of the played card. Another incredible effect if your opponent doesn't remove the SER before you play a card. Just being able to steal something that they commit energy to is really good. Next, we've got Dark Broly, Heartless Berserker. It's a pretty classic Overwhelm in a lot of decks at the moment. We don't have the largest drop area within this deck because we are utilizing Overlord a lot and just being able to draw cards, but it is something that you can close out the game with at the end, just to remove a token with. You are going to get those Overwhelm 6, you are going to get those cards into the drop area using, you know, your Z energy and things like that to play Z battle cards and just some standard combos and extra cards as well, so it's always good to have. And then we've got the activate main. If your leader's black, you can play this card from the warp for 2 energy as well to get a 30k. I've included Son Goku True Fighting Spirit, and it's a card that we haven't really seen for a while after Dark Broly and Gogeta Xeno kind of dropped off. It did obviously get an errata to make it unique, but I do still think that this is an incredibly good card if your leader is a Black Saiyan card. It's kind of annoying to remove because you don't necessarily have to swing with this card, and it forces some decks to play awkwardly to try and remove it. Yellow has to rest this card and then, you know, swing into it or use an effect that rests it and then KOs. Green has a really easy kind of time removing it, but a lot of their cards are counters that remove 1 cost, so you are forcing them to warp a card, and red can just kind of neg this quite easily, but it is a card that I do want to play with within this deck. It's a 1 cost 5k, deflect, unique, auto, add 1 card from your life to your hand. When it attacks, it gets plus 10,000 power for the turn. And yeah, if our leader is a Black Saiyan, when our opponent activates a counter skill, they choose 1 card from their hand and warp. If we know our opponent doesn't have a big hand and they need to utilize a token negate and things like that, then we can establish this card, swing with it, and force them to warp a card. Standard super combo, kept it classic with the Vegeta. If our life's 4 or less, bottom deck a card, draw 2, and it's a 10k combo. We're utilizing the Gohan rare from Fighter's Ambition, and this is slowly becoming a staple within black decks as well, just like all the Gohan rares are for their respective colors. It's a 3 cost 15k with a permanent. When this card would be removed from a battle area, remove it from the game instead. It's an auto for 1 black energy. If your leader is black, When this card is added to your Z energy, choose up to one of your opponent's battle cards with an energy cost of 4 or less and send it to the owner's warp, which is really good. It doesn't have to be in rest mode and things like that. So if our opponent missequences, we can remove a 4 or less from their field. And if our leader's black or a Master's Teaching card and your life is at 4 or less, you add one card from your life to your hand, place one card from your hand at the bottom of the deck. When your opponent attacks with a battle card, you may play this card from your drop or warp in rest mode and negate the attack. It's a great kind of secret like little card that you can have in the drop area. Your opponent forgets about, they swing with a big 30k or something to try and close out the game, and you pull this out and survive. And people need to respect this card, and they need to be mindful of it being in an area that they not necessarily can see openly. I suppose you have to look through the drop area to kind of realize that this card is in there and things like that, and people do forget about it. So it's an extra negate that you can just have at any time, provided you've got the life. Similar to the Marseille Brainwash No More, you have to respect this card when you're going against black, just because of the activate battle for 1 black. If your leader is black and you discard this card from your hand, place 1 card from your life in your drop area, and your leader doesn't take damage for the battle. Again, really good for those double strike and triple strikers, just to be able to cheese out a way out of those attacks. When it's played using Overwhelm for the Overwhelm 6 as well, you get to place 3 black battle cards from your warp in your drop area. Next we have the SR/SPR for Fighter's Ambition, the Black Marseille Assassin from the Darkness, another 6 cost 25k Saiyan that is searchable throughout this deck. It's deflect, permanent. This card can only attack while you have 3 or more energy and your leader is a Z leader, or you have a Z battle card in play, which we can do quite consistently with this deck. Activate battle, limit 1 for 1 black energy. If your leader is black, play this card from your hand, very easy. When it's played, we choose 1. If it's our turn, we choose one of our opponent's battle cards with an energy cost of 6 or less and send it to the warp. So some really good removal. And if that's our opponent's turn, we choose one of our cards and it gets plus 5,000 power for the turn. So really good to be able to boost up our leader to a 20k, and it just becomes extremely difficult for our opponents to put pressure on our leader. And then we've got Power Burst, a negate that hasn't really been around in black for a little while as well, but just because of the other good negates that are around, like the Kai battle card negate, but that does utilize the warp a lot more than what this deck kind of can provide. So I felt Power Burst was still a really good negate for the deck. We negate the attack, we choose 1 black battle card from our drop or warp with an energy cost of 1 and add it back to our hand, which can be things like the Saiyan Searcher or the Mai. And then we've got the Sparking 5. If we have the cards in the drop, we can take a life to negate the attack. And then Support of the Dark Empire, another black staple. If our life's 5 or less, we take a life instead of paying the 2 energy to negate the attack and play the token with blocker. Moving into the Z deck, we do have a Z leader for this deck. So it's a Z Awaken for 1 black energy when your life is at 3 or less, over the black Cumber for 2 Z energy as well. Auto, when this card attacks, draw 1 and choose up to one of your opponent's battle cards, and it gains Servant until the end of your opponent's next turn, so that is now an on-attack auto. And then activate battle once per turn. If this card is in battle, choose up to 2 of your opponent's battle cards with Servant and use them in a combo in your combo area. So a really good effect. It is only once per turn, but you can get a 40k or up to a 40k leader if you're able to combo with 2 1 cost 10k combos, which is really good. It's a way to utilize cards on the field instead of cards in your hand for combo. And being a 20k leader, when you combine that with the 6-drop Marseille as well, making it a 25k leader for the turn is really difficult to put pressure on. 1 Majin Buu Pure Destroyer for 1 Z energy. It's a 5k blocker. The first activate main requires the Majin Buu Agent Destruction leader, so we're not going to worry about that. But we do have an activate main limit 1. If your leader is black, you have 3 or more energy and you place 1 of your Z energy in the drop. Choose up to one of your opponent's battle cards and place it under this card, and this card gets plus 20,000 power until the end of your opponent's next turn. So it's a great way to remove a card that doesn't have barrier, and we can either swing with a 25k beater or have the 25k blocker available if we need. We can block something, keep this card alive since it is quite beefy, and do the same thing the following turn. Fu Assembling the Strong, a really good card for this deck. It's a 1 cost, 1 Z energy, deflect barrier 4k. We do have Overlord, limit 1 if your leader is an Evil Saiyan or Cumber card, both black. And then we have the Z stack over a black Cumber battle card with an energy cost of 2. So when putting this card into play or on top of a leader from your Z deck, you get to place up to 1 of the specified cards from your Z deck under this card. We haven't seen too much of the Z stack mechanic just yet. At the point of recording this video, the trailer hasn't been released just yet, which probably will cover the Z stack mechanic, but I'm sure we will see a lot more cards introduce this keyword skill, and we'll see a lot more kind of use for these cards. But at the moment, it is still a little bit awkward. But from what we can see, we're putting a Z card from our Z deck underneath this card to then be able to play out. We do have the activate main for 1 black. Play up to 1 black Cumber card with an energy cost of 2 from under this card. So it makes sense to be able to play the Z battle card from underneath this card, which is a great way to get these cards out without having to commit Z energy to them. But we'll see once that trailer comes out and how the Z stack mechanic evolves. But being deflect and barrier, this card is going to sit on the field. It's going to be really difficult for our opponent to remove, and it does have Overlord, which is really good and works really well with the Prison Planet effect, because when we use our Fu's Overlord to choose servant cards, we can choose cards in our opponent's battle area. So we have this card on the field, and we can constantly use the Overlord and the servant mechanic on our leader to draw cards and bottom deck the cards that we give to our opponent. One of the Cumbers that we can put underneath the Fu is Cumber Captive Fighter. It's a 2-drop, 1 Z energy, 15k. Auto when this card is played or attacks, choose up to 1 of your opponent's battle cards with an energy cost of 4 or less, and it gains Servant until the end of your opponent's next turn. So we can do this twice on the turn that it's played, and constantly after that if it does survive. And being a 15k means that we can put pressure on our opponent's leader as well. So definitely an interesting deck, a lot of use of the Servant and Overlord mechanic, which did drop off for quite a while, but it is a pretty strong effect, just being able to constantly put cards to the bottom of the deck and continue to draw. Playing cards onto our opponent's field, we saw it with King Vegeta in red and how broken it was. They've definitely drawn the power back, but some really great cards for this deck, and some great support for black in general. And I'm excited to see how the other colors develop as well. As always, we will have leaders for all of those. We will have decks for all of those leaders that do come out for this set as well. So if you are interested in seeing how those decks look with all the cards revealed, be sure to leave a like, comment, and subscribe to the channel to be notified when they get posted. And we'll see you in the next video.